Good evening. It is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving here in central Iowa. This is Travis with Travis Dean Storms. I wanted to get back in touch with you guys in regards to our weather situation that's unfolding for the weekend, Friday night into Saturday. And the potential for a very heavy snowfall event is now becoming more and more probable versus possible. It is now probable. And there are some outside sources thinking this is going to move a little bit north. I'm not buying into that quite yet, just because of three models showing three different amounts of snow, all within the kind of the same range, which is actually between 6 to 12 inches of snow here in the central Iowa area, with most of that heavy snow going to be north or around Highway 30 in Ames, and so that's in Story County, Marshall County, Hamilton County, and maybe a little bit of Webster County. Um, so let's just get to the information here and let's get that to you so you guys can digest it as you guys are getting ready to travel for family and friends over this Thanksgiving weekend. So here is a snapshot of the NAM model, which is a finer granular type model, and this is showing by the end. Let's see, that's 6 p.m. on Saturday, that we are going to have about 8.9 inches of snow here in central Iowa, with the 10.2 inches up in Ames, 9 inches, 9.6 in Marshalltown. Over here by Iowa City, they're projecting a foot of snow over by Iowa City with 11.3 inches in Atumwa, 9 inches down by Lamoni. So there is a sharp cutoff gradient, it looks like, as you go west on I-80. Looks like the snow gradient drop off is pretty sharp with that, which means they're probably going to get more rain over here. But that's not going to mean that the water won't freeze or create treacherous driving conditions. This is going to create some treacherous driving conditions because once you put the snow out there and then you get the blowing snow, you're going to have issues. Now, it all depends on how wet this snow is and what issues we're going to have. If it's a heavy, wet, slushy snow, it's going to be okay for a little bit, only because our ground temperatures are pretty warm, but those ground temperatures will cool rapidly once they have some evaporative cooling that happens to them, and they'll be able to hold the snow. And then once that freezing air comes down behind the storm, that slush will then freeze. And that's what that creates ice on the roads, and that's going to create some very treacherous driving conditions going into very early Sunday morning. Again, Saturday, really afternoon is going to be the best travel time for central Iowa around here, because I think they'll get out and get some plowing done, get some product on the roads to release all that snow and slush and ice if that does occur. So anyway, so here we are, 8.9 inches on this model. Let's go to another model. This is the ECMWF. And again, we're going out showing that they're talking 7.2 here in central Iowa. They do also show the sharp cutoff gradient, maybe going a little further south than the NAM model did, but they're still showing that sharp cutoff gradient. Basically from Atlantic, once you get to Omaha, Atlantic, Hamburg, Kansas City on points southwest, there's a very sharp cutoff. That's going to be mostly rain, maybe even some freezing rain down there, possibly. So that's the ECMF. Let's go back to our GFS model. And these are all latest model runs that we have. Well, let's go into the latest GFS here. Yeah, they're still showing the GFS model's bringing that snow a little further south than north. Still talking 8.4 inches here in central Iowa, and they're bringing more of that snow down to Missouri now in this latest model run. So again, things are just evolving, changing. And here we go with the second logarithm within the GFS model, showing again 10 inches here in central Iowa. I'm pretty confident that we're going to get anywhere from 6 to 11 inches of snow here in central Iowa. There could be higher amounts localized depending upon where the heavy snow band's set up. If it's a convective snow band, then that's going to, if you're underneath one of those convective snow bands, you could see some heavier snow totals than people around you. It all depends where they all set up, how that all rotates around the low, where you're at, where your location's at, and how heavy that snowfall rate's going to be. But it's going to be a pretty heavy snowfall rate. I expect tomorrow they're going to issue a winter storm watch, probably if not tonight, for basically the western 2/3 of Iowa. I also expect that to be upgraded sometime Friday morning to a winter storm warning. There is a possibility that it will be upgraded to a blizzard warning. And the reason why I say that is because of the winds and the cold temperatures that are going to be behind this. Um, when we get snow that fast and then the wind is that strong and it is that cold, we could, it's a very treacherous and life threatening situation to be out in. So I would, when you get out here in these country areas, it's going to be horrible to drive in. And because there's no buildings to stop the airflow. So, if you've lived in Iowa at all, you understand once you get out to rural Iowa, winter is different out there sometimes because there's nothing to stop the wind and there's nothing to stop the wind from blowing the snow around. Same if, I graduated high school out in Colorado. If you're on the eastern plains of Colorado, you have the same set of conditions. So, uh, it's just going to be a treacherous time to be traveling on Saturday. So Friday early to get home is probably the best time to do it. If you can get home before dark, that probably be the most beneficial for you. If you can't get out of where you're at on Friday and you need to stay put, then I would not travel. You're not going to be able to travel really all that far into Iowa on Saturday, and then try and make your way home Saturday morning or Sunday late morning, early afternoon would be a good time to start your track home. So that's a logarithm in that GFS model. Let's take a look at another one. Again, well, 8.4, we saw that. Let's take a look at the NAM again. Now, this one is now starting to change a little bit more to the east on its latest model run. So even as we're talking here, these models are kind of modifying just a little bit. They're showing 6.4 inches here in Central Iowa with a very sharp cutoff gradient to the south and to the west, but maybe a little bit more lighter snow down here, and whether it sticks to the ground or not in northeast Kansas, northwest Missouri. Over here by Muscatine, Davenport, they're showing 12 inches. So let's take a look and see what the Weather Service is saying. And they've already issued the first winter storm watch for northwest Iowa already. That's been issued already. I anticipate tomorrow morning that it's going to fill in here in central Iowa. So let's just take a look and see what the weather story is. So as we get into the weather and the moderate, they're saying that 70% chance of likelihood of moderate winter impacts. I don't know about moderate. I would probably go a little bit higher than moderate. 40 to 60 here in the Des Moines metro area, and lesser as you go south and west. It all depends on how this low pressure tracks. All of this is subject to change. This is just their best guess. 70% from basically Des Moines north and east. So there are no impacts to traveling Thanksgiving through midday on Friday. Snow starts with travel impacts may begin on Friday night. Highest potential for travel impacts are going to be Saturday into Saturday night. And then the snow ends sometime on Saturday night. In the easter you go, the further east you are, the later it's going to end. And then Sunday travel impacts may linger, but they'll prove like we've been talking about. The National Weather Service is going to update more on 4 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. So that's what we got. Snowfall amount probabilities. And here's where they're saying, okay, if you're within these areas, this is what your chance of seeing 4 inches of snow is going to be. So here in Des Moines, near 80%. You go up to Ames, you go northwest, nearly 100%. So if probability of seeing at least 8 inches of snow. Again, Ames higher, Fort Dodge higher, Algona higher, Mason City higher, Des Moines 36%. With the consistency we've seen now in 2 or 3 models, I'm I would put that higher, but you know, that's me. But again, things can change. How what they did to formulate these numbers, they saw something that said, "Hey, listen, let's do this. This is what we think." With the way the track is going to go. Again, this storm system moves 50 miles in either direction or 100 miles in either direction. It changes everything. It changes what's going to happen. If it moves further north, we're going to be more in the warm sector. We'll get more rain. If it moves further south, we're going to be in the cold sector. We're going to probably get more snow. So again, that's a pretty big swath of Iowa that's going to get at least 4 inches of snow in a 90% percentile, 90% plus percentile chance. And then again, a pretty hefty section of northeast Iowa that's going to see 8 inches of snow or more. So when we're looking at these models, this is why you see the ranges that they provide on your TV screen or in any other type of weather situation, because nobody knows how much will fall. They can only just take the models and say, this is what they're telling us. This is what your range is. We're going to be in between there. And of course, if they're in between there, they're right. But they're doing the best that they can to make sure you guys stay informed, just like I am, making sure you stay informed. So, and as we go later, the longer term forecast this on the GFS model shows more snow coming in, mostly for northern Iowa and down here in Missouri. So, but if you really wanted to have your snowmageddon, you can surely go up to the upper peninsula of Michigan. They got some lake effect snow going on right now, with some very decent snowfall totals in the 30+ inch category. So that's your weather update for tonight. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to probably update when the National Weather Service does. So I'll probably update sometime on Thursday evening when we can see what their thoughts are, and then I can take a look at these models and see what they're saying. But at this point, just prepare for snow. If you got to travel, make sure you increase your following distance, slow down, make sure you're telling people where you're going, make sure you use 511ia.org to check road conditions, and also make sure that when you're traveling with a winter driving safety kit in your car, food, water for all the people who are traveling with you, blankets, and then also have a shovel and cat litter just in case you need some traction to get out of it. If you do get stranded, I would fully expect tow bans to be issued in Iowa, so you're not going to get out, but it's better for you to stay with your car than to get out of your car. And you want to make sure that if you have to start your car every so often, that you clear the tailpipe out so carbon monoxide doesn't get into the cabin of the passenger compartment of your vehicle. So that's where the shovel comes into play. And then make sure your cell phones are charged fully, so that way you can try and get so you can call people for help and they can ping you and find out where you're at. So that's the update. Everybody have a great and happy Thanksgiving. And then once we have all that, then we can all worry about the snow that's coming, and it's going to come. How much? Stay tuned. We'll be out in it. We'll help you get through the storm. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.